In the tranquil town of Vermilion, South Dakota, life typically unfolded with predictable rhythms. Nestled amidst rolling prairies and bordered by the meandering Missouri River, Vermilion was a place where everyone knew each other, and evenings were marked by the gentle hum of crickets and the distant bark of dogs. On May 19, 1971, the air carried the promise of summer, warm and inviting, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the quiet streets. For most residents, it was just another evening. Families gathered around dinner tables, sharing stories of their day, while teenagers made plans for the weekend ahead. Among them were Cheryl Miller and Pamela Jackson, two inseparable friends whose bond had been forged over years of shared laughter and secrets. That night they had something special planned, a party near the gravel pits, a popular hangout spot for local teens. Cheryl, 17, stood in her family's driveway, giving her parents one last hug before heading out. She was driving her grandfather's cherished green 1960 Studebaker, its chrome trim gleaming under the fading evening light. The car, a symbol of pride and nostalgia, would soon become central to one of the state's most baffling mysteries. "I'm just picking up Pam, and we're going skating," Cheryl told her parents with a bright smile, her excitement palpable. She grabbed her jacket, slung her purse over her shoulder, and jingled her car keys, eager to get going. Meanwhile, at the Jackson home, Pam's mother followed her usual routine of leaving the porch light on, a simple gesture that had become a cherished tradition in their household. It was a silent signal, a beacon of safety, indicating that Pam was home and sound. As the evening hours passed, Mrs. Jackson busied herself with household tasks, trying not to watch the clock. But as midnight approached and then passed, the light remained on, casting an increasingly ominous glow across the empty driveway. The silence of the house seemed to grow louder with each passing hour. By 2 a.m., exhaustion took over, and Mrs. Jackson decided to lie down, telling herself Pam would walk through the door any moment now. Though her thoughts raced with every possible scenario, her body betrayed her, and she eventually dozed off. When she woke with a start, the house was still silent, and the faint glow of the porch light filtered through her window. A glance at the clock told her it was 4:17 a.m. Her heart skipped a beat as a sense of unease crawled up her spine. She got out of bed and climbed the stairs to her daughter's room, each step heavier than the last. The door creaked open to reveal an untouched bed, the covers still neatly made from that morning. A homework assignment lay half-finished on the desk, and a pair of new roller skates sat unused in the corner. At the Miller house, similar fears grew as Cheryl's family realized she hadn't come home either. Both families knew deep down that something was terribly wrong. When the sun rose on May 20th, both rushed to file missing persons reports, but hit their first roadblock. The police insisted they wait the mandatory 24 hours before taking action. "They're good girls," Mrs. Miller pleaded with the desk sergeant, her voice breaking. "They've never stayed out all night before. Something must be wrong." But rules were rules, and those hours felt like an eternity for parents fearing the worst. Every phone call, every passing car, every knock at the door brought a surge of hope, quickly followed by disappointment. The tight-knit community began to mobilize, sparking a mystery that would span generations and leave a lasting mark on Vermilion. The Vanishing Act. On the evening of May 19, 1971, Cheryl Miller and Pamela Jackson, two inseparable teenage friends, set out for what was supposed to be a fun night. They'd planned to meet friends at the gravel pits, a secluded hangout spot, but to avoid alarming their protective parents, they told them they'd be roller skating instead. Cheryl drove her grandfather's 1960 Studebaker, the engine purring as they left town just after 6:30 p.m., excitement in the air. Their journey took a detour when they visited Miller's grandmother at the hospital. Afterward, they got lost near the gravel pits due to recent construction. It was then they met Mark Logman and his group, who were also heading to the party. They offered to guide the girls, and both cars ascended a hill on the outskirts of town, the spring night cloaked in darkness. But when Logman's group made a U-turn after missing the turn, the Studebaker had disappeared. Assuming the girls had found the right route, they thought nothing more of it. However, Cheryl and Pam never arrived at the party. Days turned into weeks, and the town rallied, forming search parties that scoured the countryside. Local media kept the case alive like Dodo, but no trace of the cute girls was found. Rumors spread. Some thought they had run away to California, but leads fell apart when neither girl cashed their paychecks or contacted family. Both had left behind personal belongings, including Cheryl's diary and Pam's new camera. A break came when a neighbor, Earl Wilson, recalled overhearing Pam talking about a man named David in a troubling phone call. He had slammed her hand into a car door. The investigation shifted towards this mysterious David, but the lead ultimately led nowhere. As the years passed, the case grew colder, and Cheryl and Pam's disappearance remained an unresolved mystery that haunted Vermilion, the specter of their absence lingering in the town's memory. Well, guys, from here, things are going a bit wilder. Decades of silence broken. In 2004, a flicker of hope emerged when South Dakota's Attorney General's office formed a special cold case unit to tackle unsolved mysteries. Among the cases revisited was that of Cheryl Miller and Pamela Jackson, two teenagers who vanished in 1971, leaving Vermilion gripped by unanswered questions. The renewed focus led to a shocking lead. David Licken, already serving time for unrelated crimes, was now considered a potential suspect. Witnesses came forward, claiming to have seen Cheryl's Studebaker on Licken's farm the night the girls disappeared. Some described a figure slumped over the wheel. These accounts prompted a search of the Licken property, where authorities uncovered women's clothing, jewelry, and a purse buried in several locations. While the items raised suspicions, they could not be conclusively linked to Cheryl or Pam. The case took another turn when a prison informant claimed Licken had confessed to the murders. Eager to confirm this, investigators recorded what seemed to be a confession. For the first time in decades, it appeared the case was close to closure. Licken was charged with murder and kidnapping, and a trial was set for March 2008. But just weeks before the trial, investigators uncovered the shocking truth. The confession was fabricated. Inmates had orchestrated the story to secure reduced sentences. The charges were dropped, and once again, the case went cold, leaving families to face the bitter disappointment of fresh uncertainty. Oscar Jackson, Pam's father, lived to be 102, holding on to the hope of finding out what happened to his daughter. He kept her room untouched, with her school books still on the desk and clothes hanging in the closet. He passed away in 2014, never knowing the truth. But fate had one final twist. Just 5 days after his death during a severe drought, Tom Bradley, a fisherman who had fished Brule Creek for over 50 years, noticed something unusual rising from the water's surface. It was a glint of metal. Bradley's instincts led him to investigate further. Upon contacting authorities, a dive team recovered a 1960 Studebaker, a vehicle unmistakably tied to the missing girls. Inside, skeletal remains were found, confirmed through DNA tests to be Cheryl and Pam. The position of the car's third gear suggested it had been moving when it entered the water. The headlights were still on, indicating it was nighttime. One tire was damaged, likely from a loss of control. Crucially, there were no signs of foul play. What had long been suspected as a sinister crime now seemed to be a tragic accident. The discovery brought closure, but also fresh grief. Cheryl's sister said, "All these years we imagined so many terrible things. In a way, knowing it was an accident brings some peace." For Detective James Harper, who had worked the case for years, the discovery was bittersweet. "We spent years chasing leads across the country," he reflected, "and they never left Vermilion." The Licken family, once under suspicion, were finally exonerated. Though no formal apology was issued, the truth cleared their name. After 43 years, Cheryl and Pam were laid to rest, bringing peace to those who had waited so long for the truth to surface. Tom Bradley's discovery not only solved a decades-old mystery, but also served as a reminder that sometimes the truth lies closer than we think. The drought that revealed the car felt like nature's way of ensuring that the story of two best friends had an ending, one of truth, closure, and peace for a community long haunted by uncertainty. Unveiling the truth beneath the waters. When the drought-stricken waters of Brule Creek receded, revealing a glint of metal beneath the surface, no one expected the profound impact this discovery would have on Vermilion. For over 40 years, the disappearance of Cheryl Miller and Pamela Jackson had haunted the community, leaving behind unanswered questions and endless theories. At that moment, the missing pieces of a puzzle that had confounded even the most seasoned investigators finally fell into place. Tom Bradley, the seasoned fisherman who first spotted the anomaly, recalled the moment in disbelief. "I've fished these waters for more than 50 years, he said. "I thought it was just some old farm equipment, but something didn't sit right." Trusting his instincts, Tom investigated further, leading to one of South Dakota's most significant discoveries. Upon closer inspection, authorities confirmed the vehicle was the 1960 Studebaker that Cheryl had been driving the night she vanished. Partially submerged and encrusted in silt, the car was a ghost of the past. Dive teams carefully worked to extract it, preserving evidence that could bring answers. When the vehicle finally surfaced, the anticipation in Vermilion was palpable. Inside the car, skeletal remains were found. DNA testing confirmed the identities of Cheryl and Pam. Tragically, they had met their fates in the depths of Brule Creek. The position of the car's third gear suggested it was still moving when it entered the water, and the headlights being on indicated they were driving at night. A damaged tire hinted at a possible loss of control. Most importantly, there were no signs of foul play, no alcohol, no violence. The theory of an accident, long overshadowed by darker suspicions, now seemed more plausible. For the families, the revelation was bittersweet. Cheryl's sister spoke with a trembling voice. "For years, our imaginations ran wild. Knowing it was an accident brings a strange peace. They were just kids, trying to enjoy a night out." Her words struck a chord, offering some closure after decades of uncertainty. Detective James Harper, who had spent years chasing leads, reflected on the irony. "We searched high and low, but the answer was under our noses, literally under the water. Well, sometimes the truth is simpler than we imagine." His words resonated with the investigative community, emphasizing the importance of persistence. The Licken family, long under suspicion despite no solid evidence, finally saw their names cleared. While no formal apology came, the exoneration provided them with relief, allowing them to move forward. Though David Licken remained incarcerated for other crimes, the cloud of doubt surrounding his involvement in the girl's disappearance lifted. As Cheryl and Pam's remains were returned to their families, the community began preparing for their final resting place. After 43 years of uncertainty, the girls could finally be laid to rest. Vermilion came together to honor their memory, sharing stories of the vibrant lives that had been tragically cut short. Tom Bradley's discovery wasn't just the resolution of a cold case, it symbolized the strength of a community bound by grief and determination. The drought that revealed the Studebaker felt like nature itself had conspired to bring the truth to light. For Vermilion, this wasn't the happy ending everyone had hoped for, but it brought peace and closure to a tragedy that had dragged on for far too long. Reflections on justice and closure. The resolution of Cheryl Miller and Pamela Jackson's case offers a sobering reflection on the challenges of solving long unsolved mysteries. Over the course of 4 decades, many theories and false leads diverted attention from the most likely explanation: a tragic accident. The initial focus on foul play, fueled by circumstantial evidence, only prolonged the family's suffering. When the Studebaker was finally found in Brule Creek, it revealed that the truth was far simpler than anyone had expected. This outcome reminds us that, while it's important to explore every possibility, sometimes the answer is less sinister than it seems. Modern investigative tools like DNA testing and digital forensics have changed the way we approach cold cases. With the formation of cold case units, like those in South Dakota, investigators are able to re-examine old evidence with fresh eyes, uncovering overlooked details that can shift the direction of a case. But no amount of technology can replace the need for thorough, thoughtful work and the courage to reassess long-held assumptions. For the families involved, closure comes with a mixture of relief and sorrow. After years of uncertainty, the truth may bring comfort, but it also forces them to face painful realities. The Jackson and Miller families spent decades in a limbo of unanswered questions, and the eventual discovery of what happened to their daughters brought bittersweet answers. The case of Cheryl and Pam highlights the importance of perseverance, empathy, and community involvement in the search for justice. The truth may take years to surface, but the gift of closure is priceless. If you have found this video interesting, please like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for tuning in with us, and we'll see you soon in the next one.